All right, kiddos, now that we had a few days to talk about proportions, we're going to see how we're going to use those. So we're going to use this in similar figures, almost stealing this idea from geometry to get you into those. So what we have going on is we have the actual sailboat here and we have a model of it. Okay, so if we want to make sure that it is all done to scale, so we're going to set up kind of the same exact thing that we have. So we have the height of it over the length of it. So the height was 12 and it's over 9. So that means if the height of the model is 4 feet, we're trying to find that unknown. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. So I got 36 equals, and then we're going to work the other way. Okay, so that's going to be 12x. Looks familiar, right? Now we're going to divide by 12. So x, the length of this small sailboat, needs to be 3 feet to kind of get those together. So the only thing that I'm going to ask that we really pay attention to, and this helps organize what we're doing, is identify what we're going to use. We're going to use the height over the length. That way everything makes sense. We'll continue to do that here. One thing that we'll have is we're going to have this little tilde, right? And it means similar to in the diagram. So A, B, C is similar to F, G, and H. Now, they happen to have A and F in the same location. They happen to have B and G in the same location. But what can happen is at times, to try and confuse you, I've seen this on standardized tests and other things, that they're going to try and mix things up on you. So what we're saying is that if we take sides now, so if I highlight this in green, those go together, yellow goes together. So we could set up a proportion of each of these and identify side by side how we would react if something was missing. Okay, so I might say that AC is going to be the same as FH. Okay, I might say GH is going to be the same as BC, and I must also relate AB to FG. So I want the order of those letters to match. So all the circling I did in the beginning, A and F are always tied together. Anytime I use them, C and H are tied together. Okay, so trying to spend a lot of time and just show that setup and how those things are going to be related. All right, so we know ABC, so ABC is going to be related to DEF, so I know the orientation is exactly the same for these. And now we just want to work on getting it set up to solve. So what did they ask for? They asked for DE, so I'm looking for DE, so the thing that it's compared to. Okay, so again, I might start by saying, well, this one looks bigger, so I'm going to say the big triangle compared to the small triangle. So the big one is 10, and the small one is what we're solving for. And the big one, I have a 16 where I have 12 in the other. Okay, so notice the side that I have, what I'm looking for. And now we're just going to cross multiply. Okay, so I have 120, right? Just 10 times 12 equals 16x. So we're going to divide by 16. And I see that these don't work out perfectly. And that's going to happen. So if you need to, you can grab your calculator. Okay, so we're looking at 7.5, right? Fill in the bubble. All right, so now what we're going to do is we want to know what AC is. That's why I didn't scroll the page up 2 more. I knew this one had an extra part to it. What is AC? Again, I'm going to start by saying big to small. And on the big one, I don't know what AC is, but that side is similar to the other bottom, so 18. Now when you use any piece of information that I already know, I just want to be careful that I want the top number to be from the big triangle. So the given is highlighted here, 16 over 12. Okay? Just in case I made a mistake, I probably don't want to use that 7.5 that we just found. Okay, so I'm going to cross multiply again, so 12x. All right, we're going to do 18 times 16. What'd you get? I get 288. And divide by 12. So that means we're going to get 24. Now, what I'm going to do is double check some of these things, right? That was from the big triangle, right? So that number should be bigger than the number it was compared to. So putting a 24 right here makes sense because it's larger than the 18. Having a 7.5 up here in our first problem makes sense because it's from the smaller triangle. So some of those clarifying parts. All right, so how tall is the building? Let's zoom this in and see what's going on. All right, so here's what we have. Maybe we're working with a shadow, it looks like. Okay, so we have for the person versus the building. Okay, so now that I know for the person is 5 feet tall. The building is X feet tall. The shadow is for the person 3 feet versus 15 feet. All right, so we want to figure out by cross multiplying again. So I'm going to do 5 times 15, and we can do 3 times x. So that's 3x. Okay, 5 times 15, what'd you got there? 75 it is. Divided by 3, all right, 75 cents. That means the building is 25 feet tall. All right, how tall is a tree? All right, so in the last one, we had kind of the lady standing there. I think it was a lady. Had the lady standing there, and it was its own triangle. Here they used it within the triangle, but they didn't try and trick us. They told us the entire length of the shadow. Okay, so some of the things we can do is we could set it up as the shadow over the height. So I'm going to give you a couple different options. Whatever you're comfortable with, we can do. Okay, so the shadow of the person is 5 feet. Oh, no, it's not. It's 15 feet. The height is 5 feet. The shadow is 75 feet, and the height is something we don't know yet. So now you got it. We're going to cross multiply. So you get 15x equals, we need 75 5 times. So that's 375 divided by 15. How tall is the tree? Okay, again, the tree is 25 feet, according to our calculations, which is a good thing. It should be taller than the 5 feet that we were dealing with. All right, so those, I gave you some pictures. We had a chance to work through it. So this time I'm going to take the picture away. So what should you do? You should draw the picture. Okay, so we have a man who's 6 feet tall, standing next to a flagpole. The shadow of the man is 3.5 feet. The shadow of the flagpole is 17.5 feet, and we want to know how tall it is. All right, so let's get this thing set up. So either way we want to deal with it. Okay, we want to go with height over shadow. The height is 6 feet, and the shadow is 3.5. The height is the unknown, and the shadow is 17.5. So we're going to cross multiply. We get 3.5x. All right, we need 17.5 times 6. That's going to come out to 105 divided by 3.5. My decimal is getting a little messy there. That means the flagpole is 30 feet tall. All right. What's the actual distance from Jacksonville to Orlando? Use the ruler to measure the distance from Jacksonville to Orlando on the map below. Okay. So what we have is we have inches and we have miles. Okay, I got that from the scale, right? We feel like we're missing some piece of information here. So that means 1 inch is 110 miles. We're going to try and find out the miles, right? So we check out the inches here. We got 1 whole inch. And then what's that? That's going to be a quarter. Okay, so 1.25. So we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to get 1x. So when we multiply, we're going to get our answer right away. So 1.25 times 110. $137.5 miles. All right, this one's pretty cool. I don't think this one has been back in the area recently. Um, my kids were a little bit young to take them to this one, but there's a walk-through heart. It's humongous, right? So there is a proportion based on how tall you are. It does have an impact on how tall your heart should be as far as an ideal size so that you're good and healthy. And we don't have too many complications with it. So what they tell us is this model heart that you can actually walk through, the traveling exhibit for a museum. So if it's 14 feet tall for the model, okay, so the height of that person, they tell us, should be 170 feet. Now, if you're 6 feet tall, how tall should your heart be? Now, think about this. Is your heart like humongous inside your chest there? I mean, literally. Okay, you might have a nice big heart where you care about other people, but it shouldn't be over a foot tall. So if I get a decimal here, I'm kind of okay with that, right? So 6 times 14, we get 84, right? And that's going to be equal to 170 x. So we're going to divide by 170. So that's what I mean. We want to have this as a decimal because everything we've done was in feet. Okay, so we're going to take that 84. We're going to divide it by 170. 0.494 feet. Okay, so it's like half a foot. So we're a little bit under half a foot. So less than 6 inches. What do they say? The size of your fist when you close your fist? So that's about right. All right. I'll list in Schoology which ones we're going to do as some practice here. But other than that, good job working through. Remember, as long as you put your label as to how you want to have it, it really doesn't matter which way we do it, but I do prefer to see that third fraction. It helps you when you're trying to figure out how you're setting up the rest of the problem.